Doc Wright, what's up, bro?
What's up, DJ?
How are you, man?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Man, I'm great. So thanks for making the trip over here.
Of course, man. Wouldn't miss it.
So you got some shit going on in your world, and you've kind of created this business. It's just fucking amazing, and you're an artist. So like everything you have going on, like I actually feel embarrassed to have this desk we're sitting at. Yeah, man, because like you do some beautiful shit. But let's before we get into that, let's talk about. I don't know much about you aside from what you do for business and a little bit of chit chat we've had last time I was over your guys' building. Yeah. So, man, let's just get into the roots of like where you come from, how you got to doing what you're doing.
For sure, man. Born in Texas, born in Smithville, Texas.
Where's that at?
In between, if you go from Austin to Houston,
okay,
on 290, it's somewhere in between there. And then moved to Houston, and then my parents got divorced halfway through first grade, and then had to move up with her parents in Maine. She met a guy in rehab. They got married, so then we had to move to Canada. And then my dad and my stepmom got tired of only seeing me like once or twice a year. So my dad, because he's a gangster, literally, this is way pre-internet days. Yeah. So, he made a couple calls, had like 2 interviews, was not guaranteed a job, sold everything he had minus what he couldn't pack up in the back of his truck, moved to just north of Boston to be within like 5 hours of me. And then they did that for about a year before I finally, I was such a shithead. I saw the writing on the wall if I was going to stay up there and live in Canada, and I was like, no, I need a dad. I need my dad.
Yeah.
So I ended up moving down there with my dad and my stepmom, and then that was the rest of 5th grade and all of 6th grade, and then we moved back to Texas right before 7th grade.
Gotcha.
Been a little bit everywhere.
Yeah.
And then, high school, did all that jazz. Had a wrestling scholarship to a D2 school in Minnesota. Went up there for 1 year. Did not enjoy that very much.
Why's that?
I got hurt.
Okay.
Slightly tore my MCL, my LCL, and I was redshirting. And just, my high school was bigger than that school.
Yeah,
so it was a shock.
Gotcha.
And then after that, I was like, called my dad. I was like, I think I'm done. I'm hanging it all up. He was like, whatever you want. Where do you want to go? And I was like, well, I'm not coming back home to Austin, and I'm not going to Texas A&M. My stepmom's an Aggie, and I was like, that's a cult. No offense, Aggies. I have a lot of friends who are Aggies. So ended up going to Texas Tech.
Okay.
Had a great time.
And so that was probably, so you wrestled in high school into college until you got hurt, and so that was a stint of that.
Yeah.
And what, so after college, because you were in a whole career path before you were doing what you're doing now. So after college, what did you do? I
got a geology degree,
yeah,
and a minor in chemistry, and I was a nerd.
Yeah.
And so when I graduated college in 2008, that was the last big oil downturn. So there was nothing happening.
Yeah, I was working. Yeah, I'd just been in oil and gas for like 2 years when that happened. Yeah.
Oh, did you get laid off?
No, I made it through. Both little humps that we had, but
congrats, man.
Just barely, man. Just barely.
To the point, I was even looking at North Slope, Alaska mudlogging jobs and flipping nothing. Places nobody wants to go, and there was nothing. So first job, I worked for a hydrogeology firm, where they go out and source water for cities and stuff like that. So we were drilling industrial sized water wells. It was pretty cool, and then I was only there for about 10 months before I was offered a job in Dallas for an environmental consulting firm. Again, was only there for 9 months before they decided to shut down that office, but they offered me to move to Seattle. So went up there and was a hazmat chemist for the EPA. So I was all over Alaska, Idaho, Oregon, Washington. It was a lot of fun because I got to travel and see places that most people will never get to see. But you're new in town, you don't know anybody. You go out one day, you meet a few people, you're like, yeah, let's go play golf or something.
Yeah.
Oh, shit, I got to be out of town for the next 3 months. So you can't come back and be like, hey, you guys remember me?
Yeah, no.
So it was lonely. Yeah. So I said, F that, came back to Texas, worked for an engineering firm, and then got picked up by an oil and gas company. And I was there for 4 years before I quit to start this.
Well, so, I definitely know how that goes, man. I was in oil and gas for, I think, right at almost 10 years, I think 9 years and 8 months or some shit like that. But, just, I don't know, man. It's great when it's great, and then it's horrible when it's horrible. It's
stressful.
Yeah, it's stressful. Anyone, and I tell everyone now, too, it's I have a bunch of friends that are consultants and things. I'm like, man, look, get your fucking side hustle lined up because you have time to do it. Like, and keep doing this shit because it's great money, but do something else too, man, because you cannot plan your retirement on this industry.
No, and that has been, honestly, like, hindsight 2020, the biggest revelation since being on this side of the equation as a business owner is, how we were all raised. You go to high school, graduate, you go to college, you get the degree, you get the job, you stay at the job, you get the pension, you get the 401k, get the wife, get the kids, get the house, and then you retire on that pension plan. That's how, I was raised and everything. I did not realize how much money is on the free market.
Man, dude.
It is insane.
Yeah, it's insane. Like these people in these industries. I mean, man, dude, we could go. Well, fuck it, we'll go on a tangent about it. Like, you get into going to fucking school and lining you up for these damn positions to where you're going to be in the rest of your adult life while you're functioning, and you're not able to enjoy anything but keeping your head down for that demand. Whoever's running that thing, and you're just another number. And this shit is like, I don't know. People are figuring it out finally, but there's so many fake ass entrepreneurs too. It's like one of those things where
we've met a lot of them.
Yeah,
they like saying they're entrepreneurs.
Yeah, everyone likes to say they're CEOs or entrepreneurs or whatever. But tell me, what made you jump into what you're doing now? Let's talk about it, because you're doing some badass shit, and you work with some awesome. You have pieces in awesome hotels and buildings and just crazy shit going on. So how did this come to fruition?
So my story is kind of different than a lot of other entrepreneurs because I didn't have to raise capital. I didn't have to put together a business plan and go to a bank. Yeah. I didn't even think about doing this as a business. It was actually kind of a joke. Somebody asked me literally a month and a half before I quit to go full-time, hey, would you ever do this full-time? I'm like, fuck no.
Yeah.
I can't make enough money off this. So I had a buddy who wanted me to build him a bench, and he was like, think you can do that? I'm like, yeah.
But this was just on a whim. This is not So
I had a next door neighbor who was an old lady, and her patio was dilapidating, and I just wanted a project. I needed a distraction from work. So I redid her patio over 2 weekends, and it looked pretty nice, and that was just 2x4s and 2x6s and some stain. So my buddy just got this, as he would call it, a dope table from Crate and Barrel, and he wanted a live edge bench to go with it. And so he saw that and was like, hey man, you think you can mess with some live edge wood? And I'm like, I'm pretty sure I can do anything. I'm familiar with tools. Went online, what tools do I need? Oh, all right, let's get a router, a sander, and a saw. Mm-hmm. That's a good starting point. So went online, looked at where I could buy live edge wood in Dallas, and they were all ungodly expensive. So I went on Craigslist, and that's where I found Andy.
What year was this?
2016. Okay. December 6th of 2016 was the first day I met Andy. Drove down to his spot in Red Oak, and he was harvesting, milling, and drying wood, but he's a big old East Texas redneck. He's a firefighter, so this was his side hustle. Right. So bought a couple pieces from him, made Nate's bench, then did his coffee table, and then did 3 or 4 other really small pieces. And then 2 days before Christmas, this couple somehow found me. I didn't even have my Instagram about it. There was no business name. I still don't know how they found me. And they wanted me to build them an 8-foot dining table. Okay. So Christmas Eve, went down there with them to Andy's spot, bought the 2 slabs. They paid Andy. I delivered it end of January. And then a couple weeks after that, an interior designer for Beat and Bow Homes, which is West Texas's largest custom home builder, found me. They're like, hey, we're building this $15 million business park, and we're looking for some conference tables. And dead serious. I'm on the phone with her. I was like, you realize I'm not a business. I'm just this schmuck in his garage, right? She's like, yeah, we kind of figured that since we couldn't find a website or anything, but, we're from Texas, you're in Texas, we really liked that table. We want you to go ahead and throw a bid in on a 14 by 5 foot walnut conference table. I was like, okay. Yeah, I'll send something out tomorrow. Yeah. And I was like, by the way, I'm assuming you're talking to other people. Why are you reaching out to me? She's like, well, you're right. We reached out to 2 other companies, but we thought their bids were atrociously high. Mm-hmm. I was like, well, if you don't mind me asking, what'd they bid? And she flipping told me.
What was it?
It was I think it was $47,000 and then $52,000.
So you knew where you was going then.
Well, I was like, okay,
yeah, okay,
this is different.
Mm-hmm.
I was kind of given the pricing playbook from step 1, so all I did, I just undercut it by 10%.
Yeah.
And so I called Andy and I was like, hey, you think you can find me some walnut that big. He was like, oh, for sure. His family owns like 600 acres in East Texas. So then I did not know how to put together an estimate or anything. I called a buddy of mine and I was like, hey man, he's a serial entrepreneur. I was like, can you make me like a quick semi-professional looking invoice? He did it in Microsoft Excel. Yeah. Just, no business name, nothing. Just, yep, here's an estimate. 3 days later, she called me back and wanted me to bid on 5. All 5 different sizes, all 5 different species.
Shit.
That's what I said. So I called Andy and I was like, hey, because I've only met Andy like 3 times at this point. So it was just like, hey man, like, think you can find all this? And he was like, yeah, pretty sure. So I was like, okay. So I sent in the estimate. The total scope was for $134,000. And I'd only made 1 table at that point.
Yeah.
Didn't really have tools, but I knew in that moment, even as completely ignorant as I was to even just starting a business, I knew that this was different. This is not a normal opportunity, and I could not discuss it with anybody.
Yeah, no.
Because everybody was just like, dude, you're bananas.
Yeah.
And at that point, man, I was miserable at work. Like, I had the heaviest workload. I was doing all the new hire training. I was leading the intern field trips. I was giving company-wide presentations. But yet I was told because I don't have a master's, I can't progress in the company. So I was like,
I know how that goes.
So this is it. Nah, I'm going to take a chance on myself. Yeah. I mean, what's the worst that happened? It goes under and I can always go find another job back in industry. So I didn't really have that fear of walking away that most people kind of have, like where it's uncertain. I was like, no, I got a big time job right out of the gate. My freak out moment came after.
Okay.
Like towards the end of that job, because that was our focus from like February. I think we installed like end of September, beginning of October.
So you did 4?
5.
5. Okay, you did 5. And then what species were those?
Walnut, elm, post oak, pecan, and live oak.
Okay, gotcha. And so you get all that done, then what were you about to say? Sorry, I cut you off. I wanted to know what those were.
Like 2 weeks before that, that's when I had my kind of freak out moment. Like, oh shit, I have to figure out how to do this again. Now I have
project's over.
Now I have to figure out a business model. Yeah.
Well, how did that work? I mean, how did that work, Alex? So how'd you line up your business model and start pushing from there? Like, you were still doing this out of the garage?
Yeah, still out of my garage. That was 15 foot by 17 foot.
Shit.
Yeah, so that big walnut conference table, it was 3 slabs that were all like, I think like 30 inches wide, but they were so long, like I had to reorganize my garage, and in order for me to like get a saw or a sander or anything, I had to crawl underneath all 3 slabs and crawl back out. Like, looking back on how it got started versus where it's at now, it's just hilarious to me. Yeah. But I think a lot of people, especially in the woodworking world, they see the stuff and, guys like me and a few others that are kind of big names in this world, and they just think it was just a unilateral jump. It's like, no, this took 5 years of head down in the sand, losing friends, sacrifice to get where this is at. But you have to start somewhere. Yeah.
Well, that's just awesome to like, oh man, dude, to think about getting that one big ass job. But I mean, that's the make or break point too, right? If you couldn't pull that off, you would have known this is not what you needed to do.
Exactly.
So I mean, it's a good thing. It was a good test up front to know, okay, well, I can handle this. Okay, I can do this shit for full time as a job.
And that was the, like, those 5 tables were like where we learned our processes. Everyone progressively got better and I learned, but I still didn't know enough at the end of it. Like, I didn't know about joinery or how to do it right, like nothing. Even how to like kind of brace it and prep it for, seasonal movement mitigation and all this other stuff. And so a year after we installed, we ended up replacing 2 of those tables at our cost. Yeah, they sucked. One completely split. One looked like a skateboard ramp, and they just called me, and much to my surprise, they were very, like, they understood the situation more than I think I did, because they were like, no, we know this is like your first opportunity. You've only made like one thing. We know what we're getting. And I mean, some of the tables are still some of my favorite. They're gorgeous, but 2 of them, I knew I needed to make it right.
Yeah.
And so at that point, we had started getting in exotics from Costa Rica. So we just replaced them with 2 massive slabs, and they were very happy.
And so now most of your stuff's exotic too, right? You're doing are you doing a little bit of everything, or
like 99.9% exotics?
Okay, and what do those consist of? Like, because I'm not even privy to exotic wood, really.
Yeah. So from Costa Rica, it's a lot of monkey pod and perotta, which is also known as guanacosta. Mexico, kind of the same thing, a lot of perotta. I got some stuff in from Hawaii that's koa and mango. From California, I've gotten some big-ass buckeye burls that are just insane. Thailand, it's chamcha and acacia. And I just inked a deal with a company out of Bali that's going to be getting me some Sura.
Okay. Yeah, see, I have no fucking clue what any of those are.
Just big pieces of wood.
Yeah, I've seen your shit, though. It looks awesome. It looks, a lot more elaborate than just a piece of oak,
And that's the thing. Like, when you're trying to figure out a business model, I mean, we say this, we hear this almost daily. Like, what are you doing that separates you from the pack?
Yeah.
What's making you different? And a lot of people, like, they hear it, but they don't know how to approach that in their own, like, business atmosphere.
Yeah.
And I find it very fascinating.
Yeah, it is interesting. I don't know. I feel like people just kind of get in the lane and go, and then I don't know. Maybe they're not paying. I don't know, dude. That is weird though, because I guess if you do ask a lot of people that, they cannot answer that question, especially if it's mainstream, hustle.
Prime example. So a couple weeks ago, there's this guy Steve who his Instagram is Acres of Timber. He basically owns and runs a digital marketing consulting firm for wood businesses.
Okay.
Has a podcast. I did his podcast. That's kind of how we met. Well, he was coming to Dallas a couple of weeks ago and wanted to have like this big like woodworker meetup type thing. And I was like, well, just have it at my shop, man. I got 5,000 square feet.
Yeah.
We got more than enough room. Ended up getting the Texas Ale Project to sponsor it. So we had a bunch of free beer there. It was a cool event. There was like 75 people that showed up.
Damn.
So we're doing this big Q&A. And, it's Steve's asking me a bunch of questions, and then we open it up to everybody. People are asking me questions. And I was honestly really taken back because I really don't involve myself with the woodworking community.
Well,
I think bigger in terms of this, like Will, you, my best friend Anton. Like, there's so much more out there than this. But everybody seems like their focus was just on, the craftsmanship and the skill. And in my personal opinion, you can be the best woodworker in the world, but if you can't figure out how to sell or market your shit, it's irrelevant.
Yeah.
It's the business side of the woodworking world that is the most important thing. That's the game changer. The whole saying, like, if you build it, they will come.
Yeah.
False.
No, not now. Not now. I mean, fuck no. But there's too many people out there. There's just too many fucking people, and there's too many people, there's too many hustles, and there's too many people fighting for the same thing. So, like, how are you unique and different? But that is interesting. So, like, because now my question is, like, so the woodworking community, what did that consist of? Like, it's your, like, who came? Like, are these people that do small scale stuff, like, restore stuff? I mean, all types?
All of it.
Because there's a huge market for that, right? Like, the people who, like, the flip shit, like, they'll get furniture, flip it, tear it down, restain it, and like there's a big market for that. And I feel like in every community there's someone doing that shit.
100%. And there's what's really cool is I've gotten to become really good friends with a couple of the like new generation of those people.
Okay. That
learned from some 80-year-olds and 70-year-olds, like grandpa or their neighbor taught them how to do it, and they have figured it out. Like good friend of mine, Ashley, actually, she is killing it in that game. All mid-century modern stuff.
Yeah.
She'll go buy it, find it. It kind of looks like trash. 2 days, she'll strip it down, refinish it, make it look as good as new, turn it around for like a 400% profit.
Well, there's a huge market for that, but also, dude, like you have to. Shit's not made well anymore at all. Like you're gonna go purchase something from any main like retailer, any type of wood. It's gonna be half of it's gonna be fucking fake. Like it's not gonna be sturdy. So like these are pieces that you're having to find from 50 or 60, 100 years ago. And then creating something new out of it.
100%.
It's a wild ass industry. I've been in the flip game forever. I buy and flip vehicles. It's like my side. I love doing that shit, and I've been doing it for probably 2 or 3 years now.
And I heard you're good at it.
I just like it, man. Well, I mean, you just find something that's unique, And you may have to do a little tweak to it to make it look a little more appealing than something else, and then make sure it's sound, and then get rid of it. You know, I'm not buying shit that I'm having to completely rebuild.
Yeah.
But that the furniture flip game's always fascinated me too, and I was just wondering if you were in with those people too. So that's cool.
Man, that's the beauty about social media.
Yeah.
Is as much as I flipping hate it, like if I didn't have a business, I would not be on social media at all.
No, I'm the same way. I didn't create my Facebook until 2015 when we started the marketing company. I didn't even have a fucking Facebook. Did not. And this whole time never had one. And I had an Instagram, but it wasn't that. I got an Instagram around 2012, but it wasn't that cool.
Yeah.
We were watching people doing shit on the East Coast and the West Coast, and not very many people used it around here. And like you had artists and people who were doing like action sports and shit. I was into that, so I was looking at people on there. But like, yeah, just I agree with you there. Like I hated it until I realized that it's fucking absolutely necessary for you to be relevant in business.
It is, and even if you don't have a large following, it's irrelevant. You just have to be findable.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you don't have to have thousands and thousands of followers as long as you're there and you have good quality product, and you know what I mean?
That was my first. So I had a very eye-opening experience about what my perception of social media was, and it got proven 100% true.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was that? So,
German tool company. Like all my tools are like this one. They're the Ferraris and Lamborghinis of woodworking tools.
Is that something? Is that because you just want to be the elite of your craft, or is it something like there's just a huge difference in those because I know some people there's branded stuff just because it is what it is, or is there that much of a difference in the quality of
that much of a difference. Okay. And on top of that, like all their tools are so specifically geared in that just like how it's set up, these little tips and tricks, it's insane. Like all the vacuums have HEPA filters, so that's why my shop's always clean. We don't kick up any sawdust.
I didn't even think about that. No shit. Yeah, you do have a clean ass shop. Yeah.
Routers, sanders, saws, everything runs off of those vacuums.
Yeah.
They're worth every penny. And on top of that, their warranty is 3 years. Doesn't matter what happened to it, they'll replace it.
Damn.
So.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so I break stuff. I'm pretty heavy on stuff. Yeah. So they did an event with one of the oil finishes I used to use, to where once a year before the pandemic hit, they would invite and like pay to fly down like 14 of the who's who of woodworkers. It's a big marketing event for them. It's a 3-day event, and they divide you up into 2 teams. There's like 4 pieces of wood. Your teams get to pick. You build something, and then they raffle it off for charity. It's really cool how they're giving back. But I got invited, and there's me and one other guy, Matt Moore, who's out of Florida. Everybody there had like, I think the smallest account next to me and him. Him and I were both under 10,000, and everybody else there was like 25 up to like 100,000 followers. They divide us up into teams, and it was like, okay, whatever. Everybody's sitting there drinking, and then after about 20 minutes of talking, turns out of the 14 people there, only 3 of us do this as a full-time job.
Really?
They're all content creators.
Yeah.
And they were asking us, how do we get more clients like yours and all this stuff? And I was like, if you have to ask, you're not going to figure it out.
Yeah, no shit.
And on top of that, whatever I figured out, my game plan to make this work, it's not going to work for you. It's totally different.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that was my eye-opening of like, oh, okay. So followers, it's like high school. It's like a popularity contest.
No, yeah, and it is. And I think it's great if you're trying to market yourself. It's cool, and people see more relevance in that. Like if you're trying to push the brand of just you. But whenever you're pushing a service or product, it's all about, I don't know. I just don't look at that shit anymore.
You just hit the nail on the head, and that is absolutely 100% key and crucial in what I do.
Yeah.
Versus like 100% like, say what you want about Logan and Jake Paul, marketing geniuses.
Yeah, fuck yeah, they are.
And they're marketing themselves. Yeah. They're branding themselves. Mm-hmm. You're right, though. If you're doing that with a product, that's a whole different
It's different. Yeah, it's different because, then products go to those creators and say, plug my shit, right? Because they don't know what they're doing. It's just a huge fucking, it's a back and forth game, but, you don't have to have a shitload of followers to get the biggest clients in the fucking world. That's so let's just talk about some of your big ass projects. Where can I find your work at?
Ritz-Carlton down in St. Thomas, Omni in Houston, Marriott at LaGuardia up in New York, Hard Rock Hotel in Miami, the giant one that's shaped like a guitar.
Yeah.
We have a table in the presidential suite.
Fuck.
JW Marriott down in San Antonio where the Valero Open is held, Sheridan Hotel in Arlington across the street from the ballpark, AIG, Mizzen, Maine, Choctaw's new casino that's $500 million.
Shit.
We have a table in their presidential suite and then 3 tables in one of the other steak restaurants there, as well as like we did 13 big ass pieces for their new judicial center, like all the courtroom tables, all the conference tables, all that stuff. Then a slew of residential clients, and then even some pro athletes and a famous musician, actually.
Yeah, really. See, I mean, there you go, you know. So how are these people finding you? Like, are they going to one of those nice ass hotels or, you know, businesses and see it and they're like, okay, I need to hit this dude up? Website, gotcha.
Really good SEO work.
Gotcha.
Really good SEO work.
Good. That's important.
Because I'm not priced for 90% of the general public, I can't advertise or market on any platform.
Yeah, I think we did talk about that last time before I did Will's podcast. Yeah, I mean, you're right. Yeah, you're not just... You're showing your art, like on Instagram, you're showing your projects and your art, but like most of the time it's people just looking at it and it's beautiful and they like it, but they're not your potential market. Exactly,
because most of my clientele, the age demographic, is usually 40 to 60, minus the pro athletes. But they're all extremely wealthy individuals. And none of them are either spending their time on social media, or if they do have a massive social media presence, they don't manage it themselves.
No, exactly.
They're not even looking at it.
Yeah.
So that's why, like, I have a lot of respect for the people who have figured out how to make Instagram profitable for them. That takes a lot of time and a lot of editing, and I just don't have the patience for that.
It is, man. It's something that I still haven't. I'm in marketing, and like I didn't even know we were going to start talking about fucking marketing, but whatever. I'm in marketing, and like this podcast has literally grown completely organic. Like there's no, I don't know, man. It's like I bootstrapped this thing. There's no fucking money in it. You know what I mean? So it's just like pure organic content, and if it grows, it grows. And I've realized that it's just one of those things where like you can't. It's not all about the quality video or the perfect fucking lighting or any of that shit. It's just about good conversation, good content, and I just keep pushing that. So just keep hammering it out, and eventually it's going to slowly grow and compound. You know what I mean?
And I love that because that's exactly how I've ran my business. It's all been organic. Where we could have pushed growth, didn't feel right in the gut.
Yeah.
And so I've done it my way, and I'm pretty happy with that. But yeah, it's all about the content. How it looks and is perceived by the outside world is pretty much irrelevant. Yeah. People nowadays are just looking for really solid content.
Yeah. No, it makes sense. Well, what are some of your favorite pieces or like game-changing projects or something that like that stands out and you're like, holy shit, or just a crazy ass story where you thought you were gonna fuck everything up and you turned it around?
Okay, the crazy ass story was the Delta by Marriott up in Allen.
Okay.
This was right when we were building our last shop on Andy's property. So after we started importing, like he had done some redneck welding, and he was like, "Yeah, I can handle this." So we started doing all of our welding.
Yeah.
And he still does all my welding. It's been me and him since.
That was the next thing I was going to ask you. Who's doing your metal work?
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. It's been me and him since day one.
Awesome.
And we had decided, like, all right, if we're going to take this seriously, we need a lot more space. So I was looking at rental space, and it was just couldn't find anything that I liked or was way out of my price point. So we decided to build a shop on Andy's property because he had 8 acres.
Yeah.
And then, so once we did that, right, like about a month before we actually were able to move in, got hit up by an interior design firm to go up to this meeting, like in the job trailer, and it was the 4 owners, the land developers. Can't remember the name of that company, Terra Vista or something like that, and then the interior designers, the architects, and then the GCs. So I walk in like, still working out of my garage.
Yeah.
They don't know this. And it ended up being like 1,800 square feet of decorative wall. So I had to order 481 8-foot Perota 4x4s.
Fuck.
Yeah. And
holy shit.
So it was like 3 horizontal walls that all had spans of like 28 feet long by like 9'3" tall. And then there was.
How do you fucking mount that shit? Like, how does that, tell me how that works. Like, what holds that heavy shit up? Because, like, I guess these have to be metal frame builds, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So talking with the architect and talking about weights, luckily for me, I have a background in science, so I can run some numbers pretty quick.
Gotcha.
We figured out that, we just needed a triple stack 2x6.
Okay.
Like footer as well as a header.
Yeah.
That would pass code. And then on the vertical wall, because we had to, so it was metal 3" by 3/16" flat stock steel that were just ran over the lengths, but we had to divide them up just so we could move them around into 3 separate pieces.
Okay.
And so we just kind of built a frame around those, got them on site, used a lift, and hired some helpers, because I was not standing near that to get it up there. We already had pre-drilled holes, so then we just drilled into the wood, bolt and anchored it in,
Gotcha.
and then covered all the bolts up with wood.
Okay.
And then we did a vertical wall that was had 4 different bends in it, and that one was hard. But once we turnkeyed it, we started that project. I think that first meeting was February, and we turnkeyed December 8th.
Damn.
It was a long flipping project.
Yeah.
And once we got it done during the grand opening, we were invited up there. We made this custom plaque for the mayor of Allen. And the GCs were coming up halfway drunk. They were just like, man, nobody thought y'all were going to pull this off. But that was that's where I learned stress.
Yeah.
Because we were way out of our element on that one. But it was one of those jobs where I knew, Andy made a good chunk of money, but, the cost of steel went up by 30% halfway through it. So I had to eat that cost, and just the time and running back and forth from Red Oak to Allen. It's like an hour and a half one way. I think I barely broke even, honestly.
Yeah.
But it was a necessary resume builder, basically.
Yeah.
It showed that we could play with the big boys, and we had no flipping clue what we were doing.
And that was, what year was that?
2018.
Gotcha. Okay. And so you just started from there. It was just started compounding after that with these bigger clients.
Yeah. So after that very first job, actually the second job I landed was the JW Marriott in San Antonio.
Okay.
And then I landed the Ritz-Carlton in St. Thomas.
Oh man.
So 1, 2, 3 right out of the gates. It was oh shit.
Yeah, no shit. But you had something unique. You know what I mean? You had something unique, and you could deliver, and you weren't the most expensive too, so that makes sense. You know, I mean, I see coming into those.
Yeah.
But what does it look like now that you've made it a business, full running, and how's the makeup now? I mean, you have your own brand. You're probably at the elite level of pricing and all that.
Actually, I'm not.
Okay.
I am and I'm not. It's relative, right?
Right. Well, I mean,
because some of these corporate jobs, because I'm the owner, I'm the actual guy making all this stuff, because of how much communication goes into these projects, because I don't like surprises, I become friends with all of my clients.
That's good.
And after a couple of weeks, and we're in the weeds figuring out the design and everything, they always open up and tell me who I won the bid against.
Yeah.
And it's usually the same 2 companies, and they are massive, and I get told their pricing. But the experience of working with us and our final product is luxury, but our pricing is actually considered upper middle class in our world. However, again, not priced for 90% of the public.
Right.
Dining tables, minimum starting price point is $10,000. I won't touch anything under 10.
Fuck.
And a lot of people are just what?
But you could spend $10,000 on I'm sure there's a lot of dining tables out there more than $10,000 that are shit quality too. I mean, I've seen a lot of stuff that's a couple grand that's horrible. So
100%.
That's not bad. If you think about it, for what you're getting.
Yes. You're getting a functional piece of art that you're going to be able to hand down to your kids.
Exactly. It's going to last for a long fucking time.
Yeah, this ain't IKEA.
No, yeah.
So, pricing is fun, but I'm having a lot of fun right now just because last year I got published internationally. They did a full 7-page spread on me. So I had more pages than the guy who made the cover.
Yeah.
And with the pro athlete clients getting all the signed jerseys in the showroom and just the resume itself, this year, towards the tail end of last year and this year, Black Rifle Coffee Toyota. I'm doing a crazy cool project with them right now.
Okay.
We're actually...
Dude, I think I saw that. Like, y'all were doing some, like... Can you talk about it?
Yeah.
Aren't y'all outfitting, like, an RV and shit? Or what?
Airstream.
Yeah, Airstream. Oh, dude, that's so fucking
Custom
badass.
car company brought me in on it because they've done a bunch of work for the owner of Toyota. Like, they've custom built him 2 Toyota Tundra limos.
Okay.
Only 2 of them in the world. They built them. Okay. So they're the ones who found me and brought me in because they were looking for fuck you statement pieces. Yeah. I was like, great, that's what I make. So they told me about the project. They bought an Airstream, they gutted it, and they're turning it into a mobile recording studio that they're going to give to like Stapleton and Taylor Swift. And they're releasing it with the new Tundra. And so right out of the gate, they're going to take it to all these NASCAR events and all these car shows. And then they have a dedicated driver for it. So they're just going to give it to artists and be like, hey, go find inspiration somewhere.
Yeah.
And fingers crossed that opens up some big doors.
Oh, that's badass though, dude. Holy shit. And then Black Rifle, you're friends with those guys, right?
Yeah, I got introduced to one of the owners, Richard Ryan, through one of my pro athlete clients and good friend of mine, Matt Frazier, 5-time CrossFit champ.
Okay, yeah, hell yeah, dude.
Nicest guy on the planet.
Yeah.
Him and Sammy are great people. So Matt went down to Austin, was talking to Richard, and they had just come by my showroom in my shop and hanging out. So Richard just bought a big place. Legally, I can't say where it is or even close, but let's just say somewhere in the southern U.S.
Right.
And I did 13 pieces for his ranch. And then halfway through it, he was like, hey, I got this crazy cool project. You want to work on something with Black Rifle? I was like, yeah, what is it? He's like, you saw the video where we mounted a Falcon anti-tank gun that they pulled off an F-16 fighter jet, like 3,000 or 6,000 rounds a minute. And they mounted it on top of a Prius.
Fuck.
Yeah. He was like, so we're going to one up on this one. We're getting like the new Tesla X.
Yeah.
Where 2 miniguns slide out from the side.
Yeah.
And then we're going to put an espresso bar in the back. So I made the espresso bar.
Dude, no, that's fucking badass, dude.
That was like, I couldn't say anything about it or post about it until they released it and tagged me. That would relinquish. So like, Richard was actually at my shop when the YouTube video dropped, and I was just laughing hysterically. I was like, okay, this is flipping cool.
Yeah. No,
that was fun to be a part of.
No, that's awesome. Well, I mean, all this custom stuff, the corporate stuff's fun, and that's probably what pays the bills, But like the custom stuff, that always is exciting, just to have the opportunity to do it, and then, that just gets you out there in front of those people. And I think the organic, like compounding those organic like clients and coming back to you and just creating those relationships is so much more fun than just someone calling you up and say, hey, we bid this project, in my opinion.
100%. If it's kind of funny how it worked out, right? So when COVID hit and lockdowns happened, I had 4 big corporate jobs worth about 200 to 250 grand just cancel.
Damn.
Like not furloughed or, hey, we're going to wait until things rebound, just straight up cancel. I was like, well, shit. I have nothing on the books the entire second quarter. So decided, just grabbed my dog, took a road trip, went up to Chicago to see my buddy Ben, who's a fellow woodworker. Him and I are, it's like looking in the mirror. He's a great dude. And he's a couple years ahead of me in the game, but somebody I definitely look up to, and we help each other out where we can. So went up there and got reconnected with a friend of mine from college randomly. Turns out she does some digital artwork, so talked to her about getting a new portfolio made to start focusing on residential. And then she was like, hey, I need to introduce you to my friend Ray Cornell. She does digital marketing. So she introduced me to Ray. Like that day, hopped on a call with her. Loved everything she was saying about SEO and, we can really target residential. We can... Right. She explained it to me. I'm not smart enough to understand that stuff. But I'm like, yep, just take my monies. Here's all my monies.
Here's monies.
And just focused on residential. And
it was a good time to do it.
100%. And that's still my focus. Like, we still get corporate jobs, but I really prefer working directly with the client. Because on the corporate stuff, I don't even get to talk to them.
With those, there's so many moving parts there. And this person told this person, and then finally, it's just how that shit goes. I hate those big ones, like working with big companies. It's a good client to have, but dude, holy shit, all the red tape you have to go through, and then all the people having the meetings with 5 different people, and then everyone arguing, and things changing every week. Something changes with the process, and you got to circle back. And by the time you're done, you're like, yeah, it was profitable, but was it really?
Was it really?
But the thing about you going doing some residential stuff is, I feel like they're probably not they're not bidding it out. They want it, and they're the demographic that probably can afford it, so they're just like, hey, what's this going to cost? Is that process?
So here's where I am. I walk a very fine line sometimes between arrogance and cockiness.
Yeah.
Because if they come to me and while I'm explaining the process and how we do things and why we do things, because we are in the design district, there's a million showrooms that you can just go up and look at quote unquote high-end furniture.
Right.
And if they do get a little bit of sticker shock, I'm like, hey, that's perfectly fine. I encourage you to shop around and go talk to other places and other builders and some of these showrooms. You can tell everything about the quality of a table by looking underneath.
Yeah.
And while you're there, here's 5 questions to ask, and here are the answers.
What are the questions?
I'm not. No. That's my magic formula. But based on those questions, you can.
Yeah. No, I mean, everyone has that industry secret, right? No, I get it. Like, I do that a lot, man. I'll have conversations with people that are talking about, because, I mean, the bulk of everything I do on a day-to-day is, like, just helping people create valuable fucking content for their social, usually, or their website, or whatever, but just pretty much marketing them and, like, promoting their culture. And people just, a lot of times, they get lost in the, how much is this? What are the analytics thing? And don't look at the bigger fucking the picture of branding and everything else.
Dude, the amount of people that it happened more in, before I had the resume that I have now.
Yeah.
But the amount of people that have come out, went through the full design process, picked out their slab, base design, everything. I send them the invoice and I don't hear back for 6 months. And all of a sudden I'll get a phone call going, hey, Doc, it's whoever, we ended up getting a table made by somebody else, and cracks are opening up, it's warping, it's cupping. Could I pay you to come out and take a look and kind of let me know how you would fix it? Sorry, I'm not in the business of messing with other people's work. Why don't you just call whoever made it?
Yep.
We did. They said, all sales are final.
Yeah. And
I was like, so wish you the best of luck.
Yeah.
And they kind of get a little chirpy, and I'm like, look, you could have spent, okay, let's say like one particular table is like $20,000.
Yeah.
And she ended up finding somebody to make it for 10. Well, now that 10 is trash, so now she's out a minimum another 10
before she even gets
to
started.
20.
Yeah.
It's like you could have just spent 20 and had something that would have lasted.
Right.
But the one thing I always tell everybody, and this I will open up with, and this is just general advice for anybody who listens to this, before you ever buy something or commission somebody to make it, get a copy of their insurance and a copy of their warranty.
Yeah, that's very important. Yeah, that's very important. I mean,
because if they start ghosting you, you can just call their insurance company and file a claim.
Yeah.
It saves your ass as a client.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense. I mean, there's things that, in your industry, you're creating a material item, so like everything goes into that.
Yes.
And it's non-transferable, it's tangible, it's stationary, that is it. Mm-hmm. So like all that work, all that time goes into that item, and if it's not done fucking right, then guess what? Like, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It makes sense, man. It's different. I'm on the other side of it where none of it's tangible, and it's all just like fucking.
It could work.
It's one of those things where it's like it's more about mood and volume, right? Like, how loud is the volume? Do we need to turn it down a little bit? Do we need to adjust the mood? What's the ambiance in the fucking room? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, dude.
So it's different, but at the scope of everything, it's like you get what you pay for. At the end of the day, you really
end of the day, 100%.
Yeah, 100%. And a lot of people don't know, like, no one values anything they get for free. I don't give a fuck who it is. If you think about this, we're like, the type of people that run to go get something that's free are the type of people that aren't going to pay for something in the long run. But also, once they have that something that's free, they don't care about it. They didn't spend any time working to generate the money to buy that thing. But if they're, if everything's in it and they know what they're getting out of it, they're going to pay for it. They're going to value it. It's just crazy how that shit works.
Well, and it is crazy. And then the other funny thing is when people try to barter with you or kind of leverage their situation with you.
Yeah, it happens all the time. Yeah.
Like the amount of people that I've been promised the moon and back of who they're going to get me in front of and introduce me to, and none of it's only one client, and that was Matt Frazier.
Yeah.
Ever paid it forward.
Yeah.
And
well, a lot of people put too much stake in that shit. Like, there's so many people out there that promise the moon, and if you eat that shit up, like, first off, I'm always going in with no fucking expectations.
Yep.
If you could go in with no fucking expectations, then you're never fucking, like, first off, you don't,
who am I to think I should walk in with any expectations other than here's the fucking project, this is what I'm supposed to do, and then walk away, deliver on my end, and then they're happy and that's it. But like if you walk in with the fucking audacity to think that, you know, someone's going to do something for you other than what has been discussed, like there's so many people like that though. And on the other side of it, there's so many people that are like, they're going to say, okay, well, hey man, I can hook you up with so-and-so if you hook me up on this deal. And dude, like there's been so many fucking times where I probably could have already been a multi-fucking millionaire by like cutting corners and doing things on the back end or taking some kind of back pay here and there. But I'm always just like, nah, man, I'll just refer you business, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And wish you well. I don't want nothing to do with the back end of the moving parts because then it's on me and I don't have control of it, you know, over it. And that just where shit gets gray. So, you know, it's just, that's extremely important that you brought that up. And I think that's, you know, there's a lot to that.
Well, and it happened like 2 weeks ago, recently.
Yeah.
Even though, like, you know, the status that I'm at now, got introduced to a very well-to-do, very well-connected guy.
Yeah.
Up in Allen, big-ass house. The guy who introduced me to him is a custom home builder in North Dallas. Like, minimum starting house price point is like 1.5 to 2. Like, and I won't go into that, but Brian Salcedo, great guy.
Yeah.
I had to plug him. Super nice guy. He introduced us to his buddy and, you know, talked through a bunch of stuff, sent him some slab options, you know, all through email. He, you know, they pick out one or two. I send him the estimate. He comes back and was like, hey, is there any way we could drop this down by like $3,000? Like, this is the max I kind of want to spend. And I was like, sorry, man, no. That's the price. Like, that's my time, my labor.
Yeah.
So a couple days later, or no, it was like a week later, he hits me back up and he was like, well, hey, how about this? You know, did Brian tell you what I do for a living? I was like, a little bit. He was like, well, this is, you know, the whole scale of it. So, you know, we do a lot of entertaining with a lot of my clients that are famous musicians, famous athletes. We do X, Y, and Z. How about if we make a deal where I introduce you to all these people? And I was like, man, I've heard this a million times.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you what, if you want to go down that route, let's have a contract.
Yeah.
For X amount of people for over X amount of time, and I don't want like hearsay like you told me that you didn't choose them. I either want in person or email introductions.
Right.
Whoa, hey, I don't know. Let's go full price.
Yep, let's do that.
But he's like, I just
don't,
you know.
Yeah, they don't want all that weight because then it's just bullshit. It's smoke blowing, and then, you know, just to get what they want real quick, and then they not delivering on the promise. You know, it's just, dude, there's so much shit like that goes on in business.
Well, shit in one hand and promise in the other. See which one fills up first.
Yeah, no shit, dude. No shit. Well, so Matt Frazier, you're friends with him. It's funny because I reached out to him to try to get him on like as a Zoom guest, which I fucking knew was a long shot. But I mean, he never even saw that shit. But like, so are you in the CrossFit community? Do you do CrossFit or like
used to?
Okay, cool.
It's funny because when I was in CrossFit and I like eat, slept, and breathed it. Yeah. You know, nobody gave a shit. Yeah. Type thing. Like I didn't know anybody or you know, still in oil and gas. The second I quit and start this, it's hilarious. Like him and Josh Bridges, like ex-Navy SEAL. You know, I think he went to the games like 5 or 6 times. Did a table for his new spot. You know, he just moved out of California and just like, hey, because he was him, Matt, and one of their other guys were doing a podcast, and Matt was telling the story about when Will and I came up to Vermont. Yeah. And Matt was like, yeah, these sorry sacks, like I put them to work like 2 days straight of setting up his gym. Like Rogue just showed up in an 18-wheeler in rural ass, like, you know, northern U.S. We had to help unload it all, unpackage it all, start getting shit set up. Like it was brutal.
I bet, dude. Shit.
He was like, thanks for coming up, guys. We're like, man, love you. Jesus. So like I took a screenshot of it and I just DM'd Bridges and I was like, I'm that guy. Yeah. And he was like, dude, I've heard all about you, man. That's cool. So we worked out a deal, and now I have his autographed jersey up on the wall.
Fuck yeah, dude, that's awesome. Yeah, I'm new into so I got into CrossFit probably 12 years ago, I guess, right when I was in full-fledged in MMA. At that time, fighting and training every day, and then I got into that too, just to add to my, you know, strength and kind of my toolbox, I guess. And I kind of got out of it and got more into like just bodybuilding and, you know, just heavy lifting basically, and, you know, trying to look good naked, you know, really give a shit about nothing else.
That's the goal.
And now I'm full-fledged into fucking CrossFit, like hardcore. So we just finished the CrossFit Games with the CrossFit Open, I mean, and of course I didn't qualify, dude. I was like fucking I think 6,000 out of, or 60,000 out of 200,000 people. But hey, not fucking 200,000, you know, and in the fucking North America or whatever. But my wife's fucking badass. She was 100, I think 100 away from being in the top 10 percentile. So we do that shit, dude. And I fucking love it. I mean, I was doing it this morning, but that's shit awesome, it's man. A different. It's taking the void of not doing the MMA thing anymore. One, because I'm too fucking old. Like, I know I'm not that old, but in the MMA game, I'm fucking old. Like,
how old are you?
I'm only 32. But
you're grandpa status.
But for fighting elite guys who've been training since they're 14, now coming into the game at 20 with records of fight, you know, whatever. So
the game's changed.
Yeah, it's different. It's different than it was 10 years ago when I was fighting. It was like, okay, it's just a group of local guys. We're fighting. You know, these guys have been fighting a couple times. Anyways. So I'm still involved with it, but now I'm not in the cage anymore. But I can still do like the competition. The competitive side of me is now full-fledged CrossFit, man. And I suck at a lot of shit. I'm still trying to get muscle ups down. I just started getting where I can do double unders, but I'm really fucking strong, so I can do like all kind of like heavy shit from deadlifts to clean and jerks, shit like that, power cleans. But like getting the easy the shit that's really not that hard, but it is fucking hard for someone who's like bound up and don't have the flexibility. Yeah, so I've been working on that shit,
dude. Like, so much like you, man. I came from after wrestling, like in college, I got into bodybuilding, and just I always was interested in that kind of lifting. And I just kind of got bored with it, so that's when I found CrossFit. And just like you, strong as an ox, because of my wrestling background, gymnastics was very easy. But the Olympic lifting, because I was not mobile.
Yeah, dude, that's been one of those things like snatches, dude. Holy shit, or like overhead squats. Dude, I almost fall forward, because the mobility of your shoulders not getting far enough back to where you don't fall forward. Just shit like that has been my biggest thing. And these guys are half my fucking size, lifting more than me, and I get pissed,
Dude, it's technique.
It's technique. I mean, some of it comes down to brute strength and endurance once you get into the how many repetitions you're doing. But yeah, didn't mean to cut you off. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Well, and the gym that I started off at, I ended up wanting to seriously compete, go to regionals and do all that stuff. And the coach at the time, saw the potential, but he was like, okay, look, you are not picking up another barbell for a month. Every day, you come in here, do these 8 stretches, all shoulder and hip mobility stretches. A month later, all right, let's throw some weight on a bar and see what you do. PR'd my snatch by 30 pounds.
That's crazy.
All because I could just catch it appropriately. And it was like, what just happened? Yeah. This is amazing. Now I can make some progress. Yeah. And then 2 serious injuries, and I was like, I'm done.
What happened?
First one was I tore my groin.
Fuck.
Dude.
Oh, man.
Nut to knee.
Oh, purple. Dude, what were you doing?
Going from behind the head, split, what do you call them? Split jerks. Where you start off on your back.
Yeah.
My back left leg, my toe slightly came out, and so all that pressure came off my quad.
Yeah, you got to keep them turned in. You got to,
And then I was going. It was during the open. I was going for a 350-pound squat clean, and my elbow grazed my knee at the catch, fractured 2 metacarpals on my hand, and had it in a cast. And even after some slight rehab, I still after that I can't hold a barbell above my head.
Really? Mm-hmm. So fuck, man, that sucks. It sucks. I mean, it's something that you're gonna get injured at some point. I mean, it just is what it is. It's if you're trying to compete, it just is what it is. I mean, it's fucking insane on the body. But dude, I've never felt better, and I thought I was in phenomenal shape when I was fighting. I've never felt better. Like literally this morning, the fucking workout, dude, was, and we did Spartan style shit too. So we'll mix that in. Like this morning, it started off with a fucking solid 10 minutes of just body weight stuff, getting loosened up, but also some running, some squats, some push-ups, and all that, and then going right into the workout from half-mile run, and then coming back and doing wall balls 50, 40, 30 paired with double unders, and then going to 10, 15, 10, 5 ram burpees, with sprints, and then going to running with the fucking bucket carry, and then Atlas balls, and then a fucking tire run for half a mile. And it's okay, I was doing some crazy shit in MMA, but it was only an hour every day focused on techniques and just that focused on 5 minutes of competition against one person. Now it's just I'm in competition with myself every time in here, just trying to get my time better. It's crazy. It's fucking insane, the elite level of like endurance you get from it, you know.
And then you watch the elite people do it.
Oh yeah, dude, yeah, fuck yeah. They make me look like a bitch. Like these dudes were like, we're doing the open, and this is like my first year to participate in that, and like I'm looking at these times, I'm like, oh my god, like these dudes are fucking like, and it's mostly technique. You know, once they're strong, yeah, but like with the pair with technique, dude, holy shit, they're knocking these things out, and there's minutes to spare. You know what I mean? And I'm not even getting halfway through the workout. Like
we are mere mortals. That's it compared to some of these guys.
And here's another thing though: there's no fucking testing either.
There is at the games.
There is? Okay, but
there was a guy who took second in 2018 or 2019 that got popped and got stripped and banned for like 4 or 5 years.
Well, I mean, I know there is. Okay, so I know there is testing, but there's not. It's not like it is in major sports or like MMA, to where USADA will show up at your fucking house at any time.
So, for I would say 98% of CrossFitters, that is 100% accurate.
Right.
The elite of the elite, like the Golden Child,
yeah,
like
they're gonna test them,
and randomly, like 20 times a year.
Okay, damn.
Like,
okay. Well, I wasn't aware of that, but I knew most anybody I know who's I mean, I'm like, come on, man, like.
Oh no, like like hearing some of the stories from Frazier, like it would be like he'd be out of town and would get the call, and he'd have to show up somewhere within, I think it was like 24 or 36 hours.
Well, you know what's funny too though is the women, dude. Holy shit,
it's impressive.
Fuck, like my wife's a gangster, but these women are like stronger than fucking me on this shit. Like, but I've noticed something else is like the physique, your body. It's like when you look back at like people who were like fucking warriors, like you look back at those physiques of those men where you see the fucking Greek statues and shit, you know, and you're like, why don't people look like that anymore? Well, if you operate and do these things every fucking day, you're going to start looking like that again.
Oh, yeah.
Like it's happened to me. I'm like, I'm not even taking anything. And I used to I try supplements to do this and that. I'm like completely 100% natural, and I'm looking better, feeling better than I ever have without taking any of this shit.
And the biggest misconception is a lot of it is 100% diet.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's another thing. Like if you do your diet right and then work that hard, holy shit, man.
And it doesn't take long.
No.
Well, that's what's funny. You look back, even like, you know, let's say we're in 2022. Let's say 70 years ago in the 1950s.
Yeah.
Most people were still under 20% body fat, maybe 25% body fat. Rarely see somebody over 250 pounds. And then it all changed. Yeah. Fast food started throwing in chemicals in all this food, and it just, our society is so fucked.
I know, man. I know, dude.
I'm sorry.
No, I can go on a rant like that too, because I feel like I'm on a pretty much whole food diet. Every now and then I'll splurge and have something. I guess my biggest vice is alcohol. I do have that.
Cheers. Cheers.
I do have that a few times a week. I'm not gonna lie, and I probably never will stop. I keep saying I'm probably gonna stop a little bit or slow it down, but I'm not like a raging alcoholic or anything where I have to function on it, so I don't feel too bad about it. But that's the only thing I think that's bad that I'm putting in my body. But I'm still, it's not beer. You know what I mean? I'm drinking like liquor at least,
and it's good liquor.
Right, it's good stuff. It's not from the bottom of the barrel, you know. Or floating on top of the barrel.
Yeah, you didn't get it from Claudine's Uncle Jim.
No shit, man.
I mean, we are in Louisiana.
Yeah.
I know there's some moonshine around here.
Yeah,
got those Duck Dynasty boys down the road.
We had some a couple weekends ago, actually.
Okay.
It was some apple pie shit. It was good.
I have to ask you, since you're into marketing and social media and stuff like that, there's a guy from Louisiana that has been blowing up, and I see him on Facebook and Instagram all the time. Stale Cracker.
Oh yeah.
Like, I talked to him. I almost actually got him to cook at my grand opening in October.
Yeah.
And I am so fascinated by this guy.
Yeah, that's that dude. What's his tagline? What does he say?
While we wait, we hydrate.
While we wait, we hydrate.
Put that on a cracker, dude.
Yeah, that's him. Yeah. Yeah, dude. No, I don't know him. Never met him, but yeah, he blew up there, man.
That is somebody that I would love to see on this podcast because, like,
I need to hit him up. That's a good point.
I hit him up on Instagram.
Yeah.
Just right into his DMs, and much to my surprise, he responded.
Yeah. And honestly, that's how most of my guests have come to fruition, man. And I always feel like dude, I fucking message people every single day. I don't stop. Every time I see someone I think is interesting, not just someone with status, I gotta be able to carry a conversation on with them, right?
100%.
Especially if we're doing like, I don't have the budget on this podcast to fly these people in and smooge them up and put them up in fucking Shreveport, Louisiana. You know what I mean? So like,
it's really not appealing to get them to come here. So I'm doing a lot of those Zoom style podcasts with these bigger guests. But like, to my surprise, like you were saying, I mean, a lot of these people have answered and appreciate the, you know, plug, even though it's not that large. You know, it's something. And I tell everybody when I have, and once again, thank you for making the drive over here and being on. Like, I appreciate someone's time. I want to be able to share your story, but also appreciate you giving me your time, because like, it's just a lost art, man. We can't have like, no one knows how to fucking have a conversation. It's just like 10-minute sound bites. Okay, what do I get out of that? You know what I mean?
And there's rarely any substance.
No.
And what's really a lost art, and where I get really internally frustrated and pissed off, is in today's day and age, people are not mature enough to be able to have a conversation where you can disagree and still be respectful.
Yeah, exactly.
If you disagree with somebody now, well, you're racist or
you
you're
homophobic. Cancel them, bro.
You
got to cancel them. Something's wrong, you know.
Fucking
it's got to relate to
ridiculous.
politics or anything, you know. And that's something I've never even discussed on here. It's like I try to stay away from religion and politics, not because I'm worried about what someone thinks of my opinion. It's more of I don't want to create that fucking negativity at all. I'm just not having the conversation because, like, why?
Let's keep that shit at the door.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, we're just two humans having a good time having conversations about things that actually fucking matter, you know.
And that's the real funny part about this whole thing. Mm-hmm. All that false bravado and calling people out, that's only online.
Yeah.
You put two people from two separate walks of life in the same room, they will find common ground. Mm-hmm. You will be amazed.
Especially if you have longer than 10 minutes. And that's what I'll tell everybody too. Like, these podcasts I haven't got to where they're running to 3 hours, but I probably fucking will, because the more I do it, the more I want to keep like having longer conversations. But it's always based on schedule and time of the guests. But you can sift through bullshit after about 20 minutes.
100%.
You can probably bullshit somebody and have the bullshit like questions and all this and where'd you come from, what'd you do, how'd you do, the fucking, you know, canned Q&A stuff. But after about 20 minutes, if you're not connected and been able to have like, you're not going to be able to bullshit anyone, you know.
Mm-mm. No, dude. And the reason I really enjoy doing podcasts is I actually got in-person validation once.
Okay.
It was actually when I did Will's podcast, The Hustle. Had to give him a plug.
You know? Oh, hell yeah, dude. I was definitely going to give him one.
Brother Will.
He brought you over here. I'm definitely not going to.
Oh, he chauffeured my short ass here. No, so he had his buddy Q, the photographer that you got to meet. Well, Q, when I did Will's podcast, that was like one of Q's first like gig type things, and him just staring at me, hearing my story, and you know, like selling my house, cashing out my 401k, all this shit. He was just like, we had to take a break, pee break, because it was a longer one.
Yeah.
And he just came up, was like halfway teary, and he's like, you have no idea how much I needed to hear that.
Yeah.
And it's not just me who's struggling. And I was like, brother, that's why I love doing it. If I can just touch one person, it's worth it.
That's what I told myself, dude. Like, when I started this, and if anyone's listening or watching, heard this story, I'm sorry, but I gotta fucking tell it. It is what it is. So, like, I started this to build it. Like, I was like, okay, it was during, like, right before COVID hit, and I was like, I was hardcore, like, listening to fucking Gary Vee and shit, because he's, like, a massive marketing guy, and I'm a marketing guy. I was like, well, how can I transition my business? I don't want to copy this guy, but if he gives me any ideas, you know. And he was hardcore, like, start a podcast. And I was like, well, I don't know if I can fucking do this. Let me start by having business people on. And I was worried I wouldn't be able to carry on a conversation with one person for 1 hour. So I started with 2 guests. Well, I realized real quick that was not enough fucking time. And I was just like, I gotta have one, unless we're doing like a bullshit podcast where we're all hanging out,
like a round table type thing. Yeah.
Then like I have like a segment called Tequila Talk with me and 2 of my Hispanic homies come in here and we drink tequila and talk shit. But like it's easier than that. Yeah. But like, so unless we're doing something like that, it's way better and way better for the listener and the audience to where you're not cutting someone off or restricting conversation, all focused on you know, not someone else because if we start talking about something, someone's sitting over here and they don't get to talk for 10 minutes and there's like a disconnect and then you got to defer and it's just hard. So I realized that, okay, this is no longer a business podcast. I didn't really know what it was going to be, but I just wanted to have those conversations. Now it's more of a lifestyle thing, and now it's more we're having real conversations about life.
It's a people podcast.
And if one fucking person hears it, then it's worth my time of doing it. And I was like 4 or 5 episodes in maybe, and then I ran into someone random who I don't even know, and they were like, hey man, good job on that podcast, I really like it. And they said, don't stop doing it. And I was like, well, that's all I need to fucking hear, thank you. Because I was kind of getting like, I'm not only getting like 20 or 30 streams, you know, no one's looking at this shit, and only like 100 views, and I was worried about all that shit. And I heard that one fucking thing, like, don't stop doing it, I enjoy it, and this is someone I don't even fucking know.
So I'm like, okay.
That is really cool, man.
We're gonna keep this shit up.
That is really cool.
And yeah, dude, I mean, it's fun, man. This is my art form. This is your creative's table. I think this is my creative. I'm not good at anything else, other than slinging weights around and drinking. And telling what the people to do, like with their marketing.
There you go.
Yeah, that's it, man.
No, man, I really I think there's a big misconception about podcasts and people who host, or even a lot of the guests. Like, I think a lot of people have a misgeneralization of like, oh, you just like talking about yourself, or it's an ego thing. It's like, no. Being an entrepreneur, we're the only people who are willing to work 80 hours a week to avoid working 40 hours for somebody else.
Yeah.
We're always fucking busy. We're stressed out. So wait, hold on. I get to put all that on pause to come have a genuine conversation for a few hours? Yes, please.
Yeah. No, I appreciate you saying that, and that's the fucking truth. Like, because you're in your game like so much, and then if you can just take a second and breathe, but also have a refreshing moment towards not bullshit. It's not like, okay, well, I got to do this shit again kind of thing. It's not like you're doing a fucking radio spot and you're a musician. You know what I mean? It's the same shit every week.
Don't have to play the same song at every concert.
No, yeah,
that kind of
exactly.
Thing. And there is a very, in my opinion, it's a lost trait, but the gift of gab.
Yeah.
Being able to have a really solid, educated, smart, funny, insightful conversation.
Yeah.
Because most people are afraid to have conversations face to face now.
Well, that's another thing. That's another thing. Sometimes people are like people won't do it because they're afraid they can't have a conversation, or they'll say like, I don't know, man, I feel real uncomfortable. Like, can you send me some preloaded questions? I'm like, no, I can't, man. You got to just trust me. We'll run with it.
Because there's sometimes where I have people on, I have to drag stuff out of them, and that's something, a whole other art form in itself. You're like, holy shit, this isn't going anywhere. Oh fuck, it's paused. We're only at 20 minutes. What the fuck? I can eat. I gotta get some. So then you start dragging stuff out, and then finally when they start getting comfortable, then it's like, okay, here we flow.
And your listeners can tell what is scripted and what is not.
Exactly, man. Yeah, exactly. Like, come on now. The fucking media and everything's been doing this shit forever. So it's like, that shit is like, if you don't know this is set up by now, like these conversations people have, and this bullshit, and
just lobbing softballs, taking them yard.
Yeah. Oh god.
But that's why everybody always talks about Joe Rogan, biggest podcast in the world, but like the set of stones he has on him, like when he had Richard Dawkins on, and like a PhD evolutionary biologist, like world-renowned guy. Hey man, what do you think about DMT? You ever taken psychedelics?
Exactly.
Like, holy shit, dude.
You don't give a fuck, but he keeps it real too. I love that he's just very open-minded. He'll have a conversation with fucking anybody.
With anybody.
And I love that. I love that because everyone picks a side. I feel like everyone else picks a fucking side, or they pick a lane. And that's me. Like, I don't want to pick a lane. I want to try to stay away from those things that are just negative, just so if it comes up and I have to deal with it, fine. But like, most people pick a lane and they stay in it because they're afraid of conflict or confrontation. That's another thing, dude. We're like, no one wants to fucking get like confrontational anymore.
I love it.
Oh fuck, I do too, man. I do too. I don't know, dude. I'm fucking just I tell everybody, I'm just a fucking knucklehead, dude. I'm not anybody out here important, but like, I'm just trying to have a conversation with people.
And man, you're 100% right, and that's what I really like about his podcast. Is it doesn't matter where you stand, either politically, environmentally, socially. He doesn't care, and he's willing to have an open dialogue. And it's funny because only one side of that aisle gets upset about that.
Yep.
The other side is just like, oh, good for him.
Thanks,
He's talking to everybody on a personal level.
Yeah.
So we're getting more access, more information, and really seeing who they truly are versus what they're being propped up to be.
Yeah. Like, there's people, you get to see everyone's substance. And like, the thing is, no matter what type of guest you talk to, like, everyone can pick something they want to listen to. Like, so if you're not interested, and that's another thing, you never fucking know where it's going to go, right? Like, I didn't want to talk about your business the whole time because we're having a real conversation right now. But it's like, also, people need to know what you've been through and what you've done before they can connect to you. So you got to kind of create some kind of dialogue, some kind of, common ground where someone's like, okay, like what you were saying with Q, like him hearing your story and hearing like the hard times you went through and making that change, he's probably starting to make that change himself, and you give him some comfort by saying, hey, this shit was fucking hard, but I did it, look at now,
And again, social media, everything is perception, right?
I mean, of course.
course it is.
Like, everybody thinks it's, high fives and, butt pats and all that kind of stuff. Like, no. There's a lot of shit that goes on every day that entrepreneurs do not talk about and do not expose. This is hands down the hardest thing I've ever done.
Yeah.
And it has made me mentally really fucking strong.
Yeah.
And I have zero tolerance for bullshit.
Yeah. That's something that a lot of people bow out early. As soon as they get into they think they want the big client, they think they want the big job, they get into it and the stress just overwhelms them because they've never had to deal with that. They got that one chance and it makes or break you.
I will happily admit to you, personally, I am so fucking happy I was so ignorant to what it would take to start a business and run a business. If I would have gone the other avenue and actually wrote out a business plan and structured it out, it would have been too overwhelming. I don't think I would have done it. So I'm happy. I had no idea. It was just fuck it, we're jumping in.
Yeah.
And it was figuring it out.
Sometimes it's the best way to do it. And not to mention, man, everyone wants to talk about the success and being at the top of the hill there, but no one wants to talk about the fucking grind. They don't want to hear about it.
I say
there's no glory in it for the people, the perspectives that are just marketing and advertising themselves. They don't want to talk about the struggle, but I love the fucking dirt, man.
Well, and this is where I've learned who my real friends are. And I'm not married, I don't have kids.
Yeah.
And especially when it comes to dating, everybody wants to be a part of the success. Very few want to be a part of the road to success.
Yeah, that's another thing too, because if you're a bachelor and you're doing something, someone wants to ride the coattail, you know what I mean? It fucking happens. Yeah, it does. So then you got to find someone, if you are looking, you got to find someone who's genuine, and that's hard in itself, because you got to spend time getting to know those people. Yeah.
And as an entrepreneur, your time is the most important thing, and it's super fucking limited.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I get it.
But especially even when it comes to friends, a lot of people I'm not knocking anybody when I say this, but a lot of people are just not very understanding.
Yeah.
Because you guys get to, wake up, go to work, get off work, and that's all your responsibility.
I've dealt with that. My friends are literally down to a handful now.
Yep.
Because people don't understand.
I better be in that group now.
You are now, bro. You are now. One more. Look here.
Kind of a
start
half.
On 2.
A little half.
Come on, man. Start on 2. But no,
I got my man heels on today. I'm rocking 5'7".
Hey, dude. Look, no, but people they don't get it if they're not in it, and there's nothing wrong with that. Mm-mm. Nothing against them. I want to clarify that right now. If you're not about that lifestyle mentality, that's fine.
Perfectly fine.
But you can't. It's hard for those people to understand if they just wake up, they have the same structure every single day. There's no conflict. If there is, they don't really have to resolve it. It's passed somewhere else. It's hard for those it's just really hard for them to understand. It is because the depths of running your own business, creating so one thing is if you're a one person shop or even a small team, it's you're creating the conversation, you're creating the relationship, you're creating the potential client, everything's in it. You're the accountant, you're the salesperson, you're the manager, all those things, and then trying to rein all that in and then have conversations outside of your day. Oh, my day was so hard, it was just so rough at work because so and so cussed at me. I'm you fucking kidding me right now? Shit.
I will fully.
You know what I mean? Or my boss is being mean. I'm you fucking kidding me? Every one of my clients are my bosses. They're all fucking assholes sometimes. And nothing against them. I'm just saying it is what it is.
So one of my best friends, he is in logistics, and I've known him since we were 14. Mm-hmm. We were on the national team together in high school.
Okay.
He's done very well for himself, and we wrestled together in high school. He wrestled at Iowa in college, so at least once a year we'll pick out one big event and we'll road trip to it or we'll fly to it. We went to Worlds in Vegas, NCAA's in Oklahoma City. I surprised him for his birthday and got us I think we were 4 rows off center mat for number 1 Iowa, number 2 Penn State in Iowa City. That's kind of her thing. And on one of those trips, I think we were going to Oklahoma State to watch Oklahoma State and Iowa a couple years ago. And we were just talking about work, and he was thinking about leaving his job, and kind of just filling me in. I was like, cool, man, yeah, dude. Whatever you think is honestly best for you and your family, and you think you're going to progress, that's all that matters, man. You can always find another job. That's a good point, man. He's like, well, what's going on with you? About 45 minutes later, he was like, I'm never asking you what is happening ever again. And that's just, when we're together, we do not talk about that shit at all.
Yeah, that was one of those things, man. But it's funny, too, that someone who thrives in, I'm a creature of chaos. I thrive in chaos. I feel like I used to thrive in chaos in the personal life and the business life. But the personal life would take a toll because I'd never have any rest. So now it's more like my personal life is a little more structured. My business life is still fucking chaos, but I love it. And I don't feel like I feel like it's organized chaos, right? I feel like if it was, you said
it's all within your reach.
Right. I feel like if it was so structured and so the same, I would literally go fucking crazy.
You wouldn't do it anymore.
I can't even sit in my fucking house for a day. Like, I can't. Like, I have to find something to do or find a problem to resolve or some shit or fire put out. Like, I have to.
And after you've been in the fire for so long, it's weird not being in it.
Oh, fuck yeah.
It freaks me
I can level on PTSD, like shit, like where people are like, and I'm not saying like a combat veteran, I'm just saying anyone who's like used to some lifestyle and then taken out of that lifestyle, I can see where that would fuck you up.
100%.
Like, it's just being on, like, taking a few days off, like if I'm sick or some shit, dude, I get real fucking crazy. Like, like I don't know what the fuck to do with myself.
Yes, Will Ferrell, like, don't know what to do with my hands right now.
Yeah.
That's where, you always see these like motivational quotes, like you are the sum of your 5 closest friends, but that's where thinking outside the box, and after meeting Will and becoming friends with him and letting him put his podcast studio in my showroom, like, we figured out a magic formula, because you put the two of us in a room with anybody, something bananas always happens, and neither of us are selfish with each other. We both push each other, and it's like every day he'll walk out and be like, dude, like, I think it was Monday or Tuesday, he's in his office and I'm just winding down for the day. He comes out and he's like, Goodwill just hit me up, they want to talk about a website, and that's a huge client. I was like, fuck yeah, dude, that's big dick energy. I fucking dig that. And then, like, a couple days later, I was like, oh, yeah, dude, so-and-so just hit me up. Like, I got Cars.com's headquarters in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, American Airlines. And it, like, we just feed off that. And because of that, man, having yourself surrounded by like-minded people, especially the ones that are not trying to take anything away from you, that genuinely want to build you up, and we do this as a whole, like, where we go one, we go all type shit, that is the most important thing I've figured out.
Yeah. No, I mean, I agree. I think also, too, what happens is people look at you, when this stuff starts happening, people look at you and they think you're full of shit, too.
Yes.
Because it doesn't register as authentic, because most people are used to seeing bullshit. And they get fed bullshit so much that when they see something it almost looks too good to be true. Like people out there, like what you guys are doing, what anybody's doing that has any positive impact, they're like, what's in it for them kind of thing, and it's just not that way, man. It really isn't. Like, I can smell bullshit from a mile away.
I was just about to bring up what you said earlier. Yeah.
So I can smell bullshit. So, like, when I met you, I was like, you're a cool motherfucker. You need to come on my podcast. Like, I can tell. Like, I just fucking tell because you're authentic and real. Like, bullshit, dude, that shit reeks. If you've been in the fire long enough, you know what I mean? You can see it.
Or if you just surround yourself with people that never hold you accountable for the shit that you spew.
Yeah. Yep.
Then you get around some real motherfuckers, and they're like, who the fuck is this?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, man, there's a lot to it, man.
Well, and, man, my 2 biggest pet peeves that I hear that just drive me bananas is 2 phrases. 1, must be nice.
Oh, fuck, I hate that one. I hate that one, man.
Yes. And the other one is just, something along the lines of, forget exactly what I was putting, had a brain fart, but something along the lines of, like, oh, this just luck, or they were gifted it.
Yeah, dumb luck, or somebody's who's their investor? Who's their investor, or did their dad hand them that, or some shit like that?
So at that woodworking event, one of the questions I got asked is a young kid.
Yeah.
If he listens to this, I'll be surprised. But and the way he said it and phrased his question, like, made everybody in the room, like all 70 some odd people, just kind of like cringe.
Yeah.
He was like, well, for those of us who are not as fortunate as you, what's your advice? And I was like, Steve looked at me and he was like, oh shit. And I was like, don't worry, man, I got this.
You got it. What'd you say?
And I was like, fortunate, huh? Really fortunate. Okay, let's look at it this way. Yes, I 100% admit I got lucky having that first interior designer find me.
Yeah.
Now, remind you, I'd only made one table at that point. I had to throw my nuts up on the table. And at the end of it, I had to come out of pocket another $25,000 to replace 2 tables on my own dime. But I sacked up and I did it. And then I had to figure out how to do it more. Mm-hmm. And then when times got tough, and I really had to look in the mirror and ask myself, how much do you believe in what you're doing? During that like crazy wall job, cost of steel went up. We had 3 projects that were crated up, ready to be shipped out, and I was owed probably around $50,000. Well, construction delays at the hotels, and I learned a very valuable lesson about contract writing. No. We don't get paid when they get shipped out. We get paid when we're done. So because of that delay, I didn't have any money coming in. So I had to cash out my 401k. Everything I've been working for and saving for. Fuck it. Done. Let's go. Let's throw more gas on the fire.
Yeah.
And then, I was down. So my house was just south of Dallas in the Bishop Arts District. I bought it when I was making oil and gas money.
Yeah.
And then going entrepreneur after, it was like 3 to 3.5 years. I was only at my house to eat and sleep. I wasn't able to maintain it or the pool. Like, it just wasn't working. So I was like, you know what? This is all false bravado stuff.
Exactly.
Like, outside perception stuff of if I'm successful. So, you know what? I'm tired of covering this overhead every month. And so I said, fuck it, sold my house. And at the time I was playing golf with a bunch of older guys like that are retired, and every single one of them, like it was Tuesdays and Wednesdays, I'd usually meet up with that group, and then it'd always be a rotating group, but one guy was always constant, some chat group with all these retired guys. And what do they do the second they retire? Sell everything they have and they buy an RV.
Yep.
I was like, fuck that, I'm going to do that in my 30s.
Is that what you did?
Bought a 36-foot gooseneck.
Yeah. You lived out of that?
Mm-hmm.
Do you still live in it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I just lived in one for a year. So I just sold my previous house. I was renting because I didn't know if I was going to move, and then I lived out of my RV. So I fucking know all about it. That's what I was about to say. I didn't know you were living out of yours.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah. Like, like, I was able to, like, literally take my expenses down, like, 60%, and started, like, you don't worry about the dumb shit. You don't worry about if your landscape's on point, or whatever the fuck, whatever. Like, it's like right now I'm purely operative. So this is a place for me to fucking sleep, eat, whatever else I do behind the scenes. This is it. And that's all it's for. It's a living space. It's not somewhere I'm going to hang out with, especially if you don't have children. Like, you don't need, so like,
I don't need it.
But people said, they're like, it must be fucking nice. I'm like, there's nothing nice about it, motherfucker. I sold everything I had, all my furniture at my house. I sold everything on fucking Facebook Marketplace. And I was just like, I don't need none of this shit. It's not must be nice. Are you fucking kidding me? Like,
it's just shit.
Yeah, just shit.
And that's where. Okay, so I'll finish the rest of the story and then I'll circle back to what I want to say. So I was like, and funny how life works out. So then I sold that house September of 2019. Mm-hmm. Fast forward to March of 2020, COVID. Yeah. All those jobs missed. Yeah. If I would not have sold my house, we would not have survived.
Exactly.
So in my heart of hearts, and I know how it looks from the outside, here's how many fucks I give.
Yeah.
I don't care what you think about me or the lifestyle I'm living. I see where my business is going and where I'm taking it and what it's opening doors up for other stuff. This is my life's work.
Yeah.
Where the fuck I put my head down at night is totally irrelevant to me. Exactly. And anybody who judges me for that, you're pretty much irrelevant anyways.
Yeah, you're not in my lane, man. You're not even in my scope. Like, I get it. No, I'm the same, dude. I completely agree, and I applaud you on that because I didn't know that. But yeah, dude, like, my wife and I didn't meet each other during that time, I would still be in my fucking camper, honestly. we have like 2 kids, and we gotta have a place now, But that's what I told her as soon as
congrats, man! I didn't know you had kids.
Well, she has kids, but technically I do because her previous husband's since passed. So I consider them my kids. That's when you marry someone with kids, they're your fucking kids, That
says a lot about you as a man.
Well, especially if there's no one else. There's no dad that goes see on the weekend. That's it, But like when they're out of the house, guess what I'm gonna fucking do? Get right back in the RV. Except I'm gonna be traveling, living in that motherfucker. You know what I mean? No, dude, I love it. I love the minimalistic lifestyle of not having to worry about none of that bullshit.
Same.
Dude, yeah, you have your fucking clothes, you have, a couple towels, like, you don't need shit, man. You don't need nothing. Pots and pans, you want to cook something, nothing.
Nothing. I don't need, like, that's the one thing about myself that I was actually surprised about finding out after like selling my house and all that stuff. Because, you know, before I landed oil and gas, I was making like, I think 61 to 62,000 a year.
Yeah.
The second I went to oil and gas, I was making like 125 to 130.
Yeah.
Nothing about my lifestyle changed.
Right.
It just kind of ballooned, and I was like, oh, well, now I can afford a nicer place.
That's
and
how it was. The same
I
thing.
wasn't saving and putting like it just there. Yeah. What the fuck? And then now on this side of the equation, just selling everything, my lifestyle still hasn't changed.
No, yeah. I mean, I get it.
You're one of the rare ones who do, because most times people hear that story, they just look at me like I'm an alien.
Well,
like,
they look at me too. I mean, they look at me that way, but I feel like, okay, now it's like I've had the nice ass cars, the nice house, in a nice neighborhood, and all that shit. But it doesn't equate to anything. Now I can like fucking reinvest or double down on all these other things I want to do, like like a fucking barbecue catering business. I love that shit. I might not ever make a shitload of money in it, but I already have gigs for the next 2 or 3 months. I enjoy doing it.
Hell yeah.
Now I can put money into that, you know, and not have to worry about paying this note or whatever, you know, or and time into that, and maybe it can blossom into something one day, or any of the other things I have going on. I'm like, fuck all the unnecessary bullshit. I'm just gonna keep. Anytime I'm gonna reinvest in myself. You know what I mean? Reinvest in whatever I have.
Yes.
Yeah.
And again, you know, who you surround yourself with, right? Like, because wolves run with other wolves, right?
Yeah.
My favorite thing, and we're starting to see it like real time right now, is because of like Will and my best friend Anton and myself, all three of us have been busting our asses and building up this reputation. Now we have a name and we carry a stick, and the opportunities that are being presented to us, they're not normal. And we have very open conversations about it, like, well, how did this happen?
Yeah.
Man, I don't know. And, you know, Will say something, Anton will say something, and what we all come to the same conclusion is like, man, we have all sacrificed enough and worked our asses off hard enough. This is on purpose. Yeah. This was not random. This was not must be nice type shit. No, we have fucking earned it. And at the end of the day, you get what you earn.
I agree. And I don't think I know anyone who didn't put their entire being into something and did not succeed at some point. Did they run into some hardships? Did they have some rough fucking times? Yeah.
100%.
But the only people that I know who may have put everything into something and didn't succeed is because they didn't have all the money wasn't on the line. It was someone else's. Or they weren't willing to adapt and evolve. They were going to stay the same way, and they refused to adapt or evolve, no matter what the industry was, and they failed because of that. But like someone who's open-minded, is willing to adapt, and has pure fucking hustle, like they don't. I mean, it works out eventually.
Yes,
it's just one of those things. Like it's just like a pass. It's not like you're gonna bust through that wall eventually. I mean, you're just like hitting it. Whether you're hitting it one day with a fucking sledgehammer or one day with a fucking, just a little small one.
You don't know if it's going to be the first hit or the 1,000th.
Right, exactly. But if you're persistent and, consistent, like, it's going to happen eventually.
Like I said earlier, man, how much do you believe in what you're doing?
Yep. That's it.
So, tying into that, I didn't get to finish one of your previous questions about, like, some of my favorite pieces.
Yeah.
So this ties into everything we're talking about because of the consistency, and I'm a big fan of always one-upping myself.
Yeah.
And, like, half the shit that I make is stuff I've never done before. And it freaks my employee out because he's like, wait, you don't even practice? I'm like, nope, grip it and rip it, dude.
Yeah.
It'll work. And he's like, well, how do you know it's going to work? Because I know I'm that good.
Yeah.
I can see it.
You believe in yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I just did a piece that I installed like a week and a half ago to very nice couple. They also run a catering company.
Okay.
He was a chef, started like 30 years ago. They kill it. But walked in, their interior designer found somebody to make this like waterfall edge countertop thing. She sent him the measurements, and they forgot to factor in the thickness of the wood. So when they came to install it, there was an 1.5 inch gap between the countertop and the wood top. And so one of the guys that was doing they have the craziest fireplace. Like on the sides of the fireplace, there's individual like tornado propane fire swirl things. It's fucking sick. And the whole wall is sheet metal.
Okay, cool.
And that guy had worked with an interior designer that I worked with a couple years ago, and he saw that and he's like, you need to call this other guy. Yeah. I'll get his name, but I know who he is, but I don't remember his name. Let me get his name for you. So they called me. I drove out to their house, looked at it, and after 5 minutes of talking with him, I was like, y'all seem to strike me as y'all like fuck you statement pieces. And the husband was like, yes, nail on the head. So, okay, so I did, like, they came by and I was like, all right, I know you're not going to know what I'm saying, but I have an idea. I have this giant crosscut, like, which is, a cross section of the tree.
Yeah.
It was like 82 or 84 inches by 62 inches. I was like, I want to take this and double waterfall edge it, so it'll be on one side and the other. You'll see the joint on this side, but it'll look like there's like 3 or 4 different joints, but in reality it's only 2. And he was like, how the fuck? And I'm like, dwarf wizardry, man. That's what I do. Never done it before, but
yeah,
I had the game plan in my head and fucking executed it, and it is my most popular piece on social media.
That's the one on the countertop?
Yes.
I just saw that the other day. Yeah, it's fucking badass.
Looks sick.
It's badass.
Yeah,
it's different. It's super different. I like it. It's not like the cookie cutter bullshit.
And again, going back to tying this into what we were talking about and believing, how much do you believe in what you're doing? Being comfortable in the uncomfortable and allowing yourself to progress.
Yeah.
I've come to find out is incredibly hard for people, because once they find that one thing that either kind of puts them on the map or makes it work, that's where they stop.
Yeah, they stay right. They double down on their strength, that one strength. But you gotta constantly test yourself, man, because there's so much more shit you can do.
Human progression is in every facet of our life. Why does it have to stop there?
Yeah. Well, and there's so many people that it's just the times we're in, man. People aren't comfortable being uncomfortable. You know what I mean?
Oh, we can use the snowflake term here.
Yeah.
But my favorite thing in the entire world right now, and it's the first, I've had private conversations about it, but in my heart of hearts, first time publicly, like, actually being genuinely excited and so happy and so proud of watching my friends succeed.
Yeah.
That is my favorite thing in the world. I love watching people hit home runs.
And that's something in itself, because, like, you can be the person who's extremely selfish and just worry about yourself. And I feel like when I first got into this, I may have been that way a little bit, because I was worried about status quo and trying to do the right thing and line up everything.
You have to survive.
Right. But then I started realizing the more selfless you are, the more shit you do, the more people you bring up. I mean, I do a ton of shit for free for people, man. I don't ever talk about that, but only because I know that one day it's going to fucking pay, it's going to come back. And I'm not monetarily, just I feel like if this person has something that they need help with and I can help them, I'm going to fucking do it, Or in the same thing for your peers. If your peers are doing well, don't fucking hate on them. Don't drag them down. Fucking build them up, man.
Build them up, and also look at yourself in the mirror.
Yeah.
Why are you not operating on that level?
Exactly.
What are they doing that's different than you?
Yeah. That's it, man. Because you're running with the same pack, and if you can learn from each other and you have these discussions and do well together.
Yes, because it doesn't matter what industry or business you're in. About 70% of it is all correlatable.
Yeah, it's gonna cross at some point.
Yes,
it's gonna cross.
Whether it's accounting, marketing,
anything.
PR, website, how you present yourself, how you speak.
Yeah, a fucking attorney, anything.
Yes.
At the end of the day, it's about building relationships and cultivating those.
Exactly.
You all can learn from each other from it. I mean, it's what it is, man.
Dude, and especially when it comes to the gift of networking.
Yeah, network's amazing. I built everything we've had on networking. We just doubled down on it, man.
Hell yeah.
No cold calls, no just pure networking. And because I know you have to be in front. If you're real from the very first moment someone meets you, it's either you're gonna create something, or they may not like you, but either way, it's real. So once it's real, they're like, okay, this is who I'm getting. Go from there.
Yes.
Yep.
100%. Yep. And I fucking love that.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Like, I saw this meme one time and it just cracked me up. It was like, I don't care if you don't like me or not. I'm fucking awesome. That's on you.
Yeah, man. Well, look, dude, let's wrap this thing up. We're over an hour and a half now.
Okay, can I ask you one question before we take off?
Let's do it.
You just talked about doing stuff for people.
Yeah. Can
you elaborate on that? I genuinely would like to hear that.
If you want So, like, I mean, I work with a shitload of nonprofits. And a lot of times they have no budget. But I know I see their mission statement. And so I just try to double down on them where I can help. Like, a lot of times I'll trade for things if people don't have budget. So, like, okay, I can't realistically, you can't pay for my services, but maybe I can sponsor the event somehow and do something where it's my time. You know, I'm putting my time, not my employees' time or my designer's time on the line, but it's my time. Maybe I come help you organize an event, or maybe I show up and you know, or maybe I get on your page and promote you, or promote you on mine, or whatever. But that's the gist of it. I do a lot of that. Like, it's a lot of nonprofit shit. Like, because most of these nonprofits, even the smallest nonprofit, I mean, even the largest nonprofit started off as one person started. Well, it takes 3 people to start one. So that's how they fucking start. And usually they start with nothing. And a lot of them have an awesome mission, so I can really get behind those people, man. There's a bunch of them that I like to help out, and I try to help with whenever I can, but it's just my time. So, like, anytime I can give my time to something like that, that's what I'm doing for free, basically. Not creating a huge masterpiece and give it to nothing.
That's
like
irrelevant. That's irrelevant.
Right.
How long have you been on your own now?
We have been. I left oil and gas in 2015. So since we launched the business in January 2016.
Okay, so you're about a year ahead of me.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah.
Because I was quit in February. February of 2017.
Okay, 2017. Gotcha. Yeah.
So it was a corny question, possibly.
Hey, everything's real, man.
Because I genuinely like understanding how people operate.
Yeah.
And again, being on this side of the equation, I like doing podcasts because you get to talk about stuff you never get to talk about.
Right.
So out of the last 6 years, everything you've learned, everything you've experienced, helping people out, what are you most proud of? It can be personal or outside of personal. That's a tough question.
Man, dude, I'm so bad with giving myself any recognition.
Same.
Because I always want to get better.
Same.
So it's more, I'm proud of my willingness to adapt. I don't know. I'm just proud that I've become more selfless and give a fuck about people, put people before me. I used to not be that way. I was not for a long time. So I think that's the biggest thing overall that I've been able to shift is that, and put into perspective, is that now I can be more selfless and put people before me, because I realized that doing the advert was not working out very well, and it doesn't for anyone. So I guess that's it, you know, in a full circle of my entire personal and business life.
Well, man, that was a great answer.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the truth, man, because I can come up with a million awesome stories, but like they all come back to that.
No, you could see if anybody listening or watching can see the look on your face when you explain that.
Yeah,
you could see the passion.
Yeah.
So, dude, I'm very proud to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks so much, bro. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, man.
All right, homie.